Hello and welcome to Shannon Gardens. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So in this week's video, I thought that we would take a walk through my perennial garden and I can share with you guys what's currently blooming here at the end of June. Now it has been very hot here, I would say unseasonably hot, with temperatures in the mid 90s and not a lot of rain. So I wanted to show you what is thriving in the garden currently and also share some information about some of the plants that I have in the garden that are blooming as well. All right, you guys, so with that, let's get to it. All right, so if you guys have been watching for a while, then you know I absolutely love garden phlox, and I thought I'd start here today with the Franz Schubert garden phlox. I've had this plant forever and lost the tag, but found it, and so I wanted to share with you guys the type that it is. Now this patch is actually divided from my original patch that I had. I divided it last year, and you can just see it is filled in so nicely in this area and has done so well. It started blooming probably a couple of weeks ago, and then we have several with buds on them that still haven't bloomed yet, but will probably be blooming in the next couple of weeks. And I just think it's stunning. I absolutely love this plant. It's one of my favorite perennials to add to the garden. All right, so here is my main patch of garden phlox. So the garden phlox that I just showed you a moment ago originally came from here. This is what I divided from. As you can see, I've got a lot of plants that have just spread throughout the years, so I've been able to divide it many times over. However, you may notice that this one is just not blooming right now. It's got a lot of buds here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Not a lot of blooms yet. It hasn't opened up quite yet. And I will insert the culprits. I came through and wiped it out probably a month ago and cut off all the tops of my plants that had the buds on them that were about to bloom. So they've just refilled in and should be blooming in the next week or so. But in the interim, I have actually put down some deer and rabbit repellent as well to help ward them off so that these plants can bloom. Now here I have my Salvia, which is just a plant that performs so well throughout the summer and I just don't have to worry about in this heat. It has been blooming profusely and attracting those hummingbirds, which I absolutely love. This is the Vibe Ignition Fuchsia Salvia, and I have several different types of Salvia throughout the garden, which I'll put a link to my Salvia video in the description if you care to take a look at that. But I just wanted to share with you guys that the Salvia is also in bloom here in this heat at the end of June. Now here we have the beautiful Cleome, which has been coming up the last couple of weeks and has really started blooming just this week. This has reseeded from my plants from years prior, and it just continues to reseed every year and pop up all throughout the garden. I will put a link to the video that I did regarding the Cleome in the description if you care to take a look at it, but I absolutely love this plant and I'm just so happy every year when it pops back up. So I've got this here, and then there's a bit of a darker pink in this plant right here. I have a little bit of butterfly weed that's left blooming. I absolutely love this flower. I love how it attracts the butterflies, and just wanted to show you guys it's blooming just a bit here. It's about to probably wrap it up. It may bloom sporadically, but this is also another perennial that is in bloom and has been in my garden for years. Now our gardenia bush has been blooming the last few weeks and it's just stopping to bloom now, but we do have a few blooms left. We have absolutely been enjoying the fragrance on our patio and bringing these blooms inside as well. Now this one was a gift from a family member. They took a cutting from their gardenia bush and rooted it and gave it to us years ago. It was very small and now it's this enormous shrub, and I just love that kind of gift. I love that from friends or from family, and it just reminds me of them. I think of that person every year. Each time it blooms, it's just such a special gift to me. Also in bloom right now are these Shasta Daisies, which are doing quite well, and you can tell that they've got a number of buds on them. So I'm very, very pleased with these, and I think daisies are such a happy little addition to the garden, so I really like adding these, and I'm so pleased with how they've taken actually this year, because this is the first year that they have been planted in the garden. Next we have the Chapel Hill Lantana, which does so well in this hot weather. This is drought tolerant and deer resistant. It grows to 15 inches high, so it's one of the smaller growing lantana. I know that you can get some really, really big lantana plants, but this is on the smaller side, and this blooms from late spring through to fall in zones 7 through 11. Here we have the Agastache Sunrise Violet. Now this is a newer variety for me that I added this year. I added Agastache to my perennial garden last year and liked it so much that I added this variety. Now this one is noted to grow 18 to 24 inches tall and 12 to 18 inches wide. And it's also noted for its long bloom season and that it is drought and heat tolerant, which it's proving to be so far, as it's continuing to bloom and has lots of buds on it that are about to open up. And it also attracts hummingbirds, butterflies, and bees. And I'll show you, this little guy came up right as I was recording this. Next up, we have the Madison Star Jasmine. This is noted for zones 7 through 10, and I am in zone 7B, 8A. And it's really surprising how fragrant this little flower is. I love the pinwheel design here. Now, these generally start blooming in the spring and then will bloom off and on throughout the summer. This is one of 2 plants that we have, and this one is planted near a seating area so that we can have that delightful scent as we're sitting on our patio. So here we have the Jolt Cherry Dianthus, which I've planted just this year, and it is still going strong. We have had very, very hot weather. It was noted to be one of the most heat tolerant of the Dianthus, and I have to say that is proving true, at least for now, because we have had temperatures in the 90s and not a lot of rain. So this is still doing quite well, and I'm very, very pleased with this addition to my garden. Next up, we have the pink skullcap, which is another new plant for this year. And again, this is more of a drought-tolerant plant. I really am impressed with it so far. It is very pretty. It's got these tiny little blooms on it. And I'll back up here so you can see the plant in its entirety. Now, this plant will spread over time, but it's doing very, very well so far. Next up, we have Speedwell, which again is a plant that's been doing very, very well in the heat of summer. It's been blooming for me since spring and has just continued. Look at all these blooms here. And this is just on one plant. I've got a few of these now because it's performed so well in my perennial garden. So I'm very pleased with it and very happy that I added this to my perennial garden. Here we have balloon flowers, which I have throughout my garden. I've had these for years, and just look at these pretty buds and the color, which is that bluish purple. These are so pretty. I absolutely love these flowers, and these have been a mainstay in my garden for quite some time and will continue to bloom throughout the summer. Next up is probably my favorite rose that I have, which is the Sunset Horizon Floribunda rose. And just look at that color. Now it starts in that yellow color, and then as it progresses, it will change into this pinkish red. It is absolutely beautiful and just one of my favorite roses that I own. And this one actually got a bit of a late start. I had a deer right as it was about to start blooming in the spring come through and just take all the buds off of it. So now I've been putting down some deer repellent and my roses have been left alone. And so now I'm able to enjoy these beautiful flowers. Now, in addition to my Sunset Horizon rose, I also absolutely love my drift roses. I've got several different colors of drift roses, and they just bloom abundantly throughout the summer. They are so easy, low maintenance, and just such a pretty rose to add to the garden. Now here is one of the rows of Sharons I have. You can see that the bees absolutely love this plant, and this was actually a gift to me from my neighbor, and I have 2 of these. These were given to me years ago, and they've just filled in and are so pretty. They've got so many blooms, and they actually just started blooming. So you can see here that they've got a lot of buds all over this plant, and I just really enjoy the Rose of Sharon. It's a very easy, low maintenance plant for me, and I've very much enjoyed having it. And you can see in the middle here, it's got that dark pink and then the lighter coloration as it moves further out away from the center. The Coreopsis that I planted along my walkway this year is still going strong, and I'll insert that video in the description if you guys would care to take a look at my walkway update and some of the perennials that I did add this year. But these are still blooming and should bloom throughout the summer and are still filling in nicely and have lots of buds on them, so they are continuing to bloom throughout this heat. Now, even though this one is not blooming yet, I just even had to show you the buds of this. This is a Crocosmia, and it should be blooming here in the next couple of weeks probably. So I will make sure to do an updated July video to show you guys what's blooming. I absolutely love this plant. I am so excited that this is about to bloom, but even the buds here to me are just so pretty. So this is Crocosmia. It will be blooming more so in July, but it's got lots of blooms. And I just had to share with you guys how pretty those buds are as they are set to open. Now this is a new shrub rose for me that I just got this year and planted. This is the Sunrise Sunset shrub rose, and it's marked as fuss proof, and it really has been. It has been profusely blooming. It's got lots of buds still on it, and while this one bloom looks a little sad, it's just starting to finish up, but I just wanted to share with you guys that this has really been a lovely plant. So I just wanted to show you guys that the Homestead Verbena is still going strong and is still blooming even in this heat. And so this is one of the perennials that continues to bloom. I did add some additional Homestead Verbena in this year, which I'll put a link to that video as well if you prefer to take a look. But those have all filled in nicely and have been continuously blooming as well. So I am very, very pleased and happy with this Verbena. Now this is one of a few daylilies that I've transplanted. I divided some last year. I have some pretty big daylily bushes, and this is just one that is just starting out. You can see it's a smaller plant here that I divided last year. Love this orange color. It's so pretty and is definitely thriving in the summer heat and just bringing that pop of orange color to the garden. Now here we have our butterfly bush, which is actually one of 3 different varieties that we have. I love these bushes. I love seeing the butterfly activity. Now I'm recording this in the morning because it's going to be very hot today, but I'll try to insert some footage of the butterflies when they're active on this bush and just show you guys. It's just so lovely to watch them on these bushes, and I think that the fragrance is really nice on the butterfly bushes, and this will just bloom through to the fall and really thrive in this type of weather. Now this is another butterfly bush that we have, a different type. This has more of an upright growth and has probably been planted for about a year or 2. This is called the Butterfly Towers Magenta, and it grows 4 to 5 feet high and 2 to 3 feet wide. It's marked for full sun to part shade in USDA zones 5 through 10. And then we have our third butterfly bush, which is a dwarf variety that is in bloom currently and will bloom and attract those butterflies through to the fall. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm so excited to share with you guys the perennials that are currently blooming in my garden and hope that they continue to through this really hot spell that we're having. So thank you so much again. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so that you can be notified each time I upload a new video. All right, you guys, until next time, happy gardening and goodbye.